So this is still very hot, but if I go any lower to try to get cold water, I will not be able to get enough pressure to hit me. I would have to be on top of that. As you can see, it's already dripping on that because it's so low. That is all we get. Ooh, that is pretty hot still, but I'll have to do. If I go even one nodule higher than that, it burns you. Now, my roommate of 84 years old has been complaining about boiling hot water since he moved in. Never once have they tried to actually fix this. Now, David just reported this to maintenance, and he says it's all fixed. It is not. And now, this is my 100th time calling, and they keep on hiring people who are not registered plumbers to throw in a pipe, throw in a tile, and call it all fixed. It has never been fixed in 6 years. They keep on calling it fixed because they're lazy and they're cheap. You call a registered plumber if you have a building like this with pipes falling apart. But instead, the landlord tells his tenants to heat the pipes. He tries to blame the tenants for his rotting, destroyed pipes. And he wants us to pay for all new pipes, all new windows. He wants his tenants, after COVID, who are already getting gouged at the gas pump. We're already getting gouged for rent. We're already getting gouged at the grocery store. We're already getting paid as little as possible. Our paychecks for 40 hours a week is almost the same at minimum wage as the cheapest apartment, one bedroom in Rochester. If you look up a Rochester, New Hampshire apartment, a real cheap one, let's say right downtown above, or let's say mine right over here downstairs, you're going to pay around $1,400. Now, if you get paid minimum wage in Rochester, New Hampshire at an essential service job, like at a gas station, it's usually around $10 an hour. That's starting wages. So the rent is $1,400. You get paid $10 an hour. How much hours do you have to work to make your rent? More than 40. If you work 40 hours at $10 an hour, that's $1,600 before taxes. The rent for that one bedroom is $1,400. And don't forget, you got to pay the electric. So there goes the other $200. Now you broke even, but you have no transportation to get to work. So you'll lose your job, you lose your apartment, you end up homeless. So what does the landlord do? Well, there are people working over 50 hours at essential service jobs like gas stations like me, while disabled, while bleeding on the side of the road, while bleeding internally into their testicles, while having all these issues. They're going to the emergency rooms and going to the doctors to fix. But the doctors are hicks who don't want to do shit around here, and they haven't done anything to help me but a bunch of double talk bullshit. They're about to kill off my roommate for some mold exposure. Yes, he got dizzy from some mold exposure. He went outside to take a walk with me. He made it through the walk fine. He went into the store. There was nowhere to sit. He got dizzy, fell down, and it was a light fall, but I wanted him to go get checked out. When I went to get him checked out, and I'm his healthcare proxy, by the way, they lost all his emergency contacts. They lost all his emergency contact information, and they haven't listened or consulted or decided to listen to his primary care, who he's had for 25 years. This is ridiculous. I've been trying to get him a primary care in Appledore, and now they've done two things to kill him. Now, don't get me wrong, I want out and far away from this man, but nobody deserves to have judge and jury type executions in their hospital. So the first execution was they wanted to give him anesthesia while knowing because of his half a working heart, he'll never wake up. We've known during many surgeries that he can't be put under. But they want to rush it through anyways without talking to his healthcare proxy or his primary care. Now, David's smart enough not to kill himself, and he says no. But then the hospital, Wentworth Douglas, wants to kill him again. So on Friday, September 20th, the following day, they decide they're going to give him a lot of medications and see if Dave will sign off on all these drugs. So David signs off on all the drugs, not knowing what the hell he's being given, and then he has a seizure. Yes, David has a seizure right after being administered medication by Wentworth Douglas. Now, I have a recording of Wentworth Douglas calling me to let me know that David was administered the medication and had a seizure. Now, I am supposed to be his healthcare proxy, and I've signed all paperwork, and if I wasn't, they knew to sign it already. And David wanted to sign it, and it was already signed many times. We already made this very clear to Wentworth Douglas. But they're playing a game. They're not trying to give him care for the mold. They're not giving him care for the fall. They're not even giving him care for the cancer. They're purposely malpracticing him, hopefully to make things more difficult and drive him out of town. But all they're doing is getting me stuck in town, and they're starting to radicalize me. I am somebody who cares about the human condition. I would never want the harm being done to anybody. I want to protect human life, all of it. That includes the asshole neighbors I don't like. Hence why I'm fighting so hard to get the mold taken care of so no other people have to get hurt, assholes or not. But as long as the hospitals like Frisbee in Rochester or Wentworth Douglas in Somersworth are allowed to continue malpracticing and killing off the poor and trying to, like for instance, we tried to bring stuff to code enforcement for 6 years. They said, we don't take reports of mold. We don't take reports of mold. We don't take reports of mold. The neighbors try to report it. We try to report it. And only after 6 years, after we bring it to Concord, then they start going, oh, of course we take the reports for mold. We just need you to do this, this, and this. All of a sudden, they change their attitude. Why? Because Concord got involved, and they're telling Concord, we would never do such a thing as send somebody away telling them we don't do mold. During COVID, before COVID, or after COVID. Well, it's a total lie. They're full of shit. They told this to everybody who lived in this building. They even told the neighbors downstairs, just move, just move. Don't worry about your health and the fact you're getting sick, just move. Old people downstairs in their 70s start feeling like they're getting respiratory problems and the air might be a little bad. And what do they do about it here in Rochester, New Hampshire? They tell these people to move and they're going to get sick later. You don't get better just by moving. That does not fix the situation. Then somebody else gets sick and then they move. And then somebody else gets sick and then they move. And then somebody else gets sick. And this can stick with you for 10 or more years, even if you move. So tell me, how many more people have to get sick from malpractice, from mold, from waterfalls, from landlords neglecting their property, from doctors not wanting to do their jobs, to doctors wanting to take care of people by malpracticing them to death? When these things go on, when Rochester District Court decides they're not going to hear out disabled people because they sound too weird, or they can't read or write, or something like that. Oh, these two don't read and write, then I don't want to hear them out. When problems like this happen, what is the solution? Is it to kill off the disabled people and then have somebody else move in and get sick, and then move them to another location, and then move in another disabled people, and then get them sick and move them the hell off, and then kill an old man, and then move somebody else in, and then a child gets health issues and respiratory issues, and then you move them out? Is this the proper way of procedure in Rochester, New Hampshire, to hurt their citizens, kill off the disabled and elderly, to get people sick, and then try to avoid responsibility through tricks and games that disabled people have no lawyers or no protections under the laws to protect them from? Because that's what it sounds like.